So Xbox Game Pass, the Netflix of gaming, or the best deal in gaming, which many know it by. And so that means more games hitting the service. So here it's about which ones are most worth your time. As if you're like me, you don't have a huge amount of time to play all games that hit the service, plus others that release at full price. These games are spread across the console, PC, and cloud areas, and I'll let you know which ones are available on each, and the ones I'm most keen to play. But if you like the video, then give it a thumbs up, leave a comment letting me know which games you'll be playing, share the video, subscribe, and check the description for a link to the Discord to discuss everything Xbox and gaming. But now, let's get to it. So first up at number 11, it's Secret Neighbor, and this seems like a great fit for Game Pass, and this was already available for Xbox gamers, but now PC players get to join in on the fun. And this is one of those games which you don't need to take it all too seriously, one just to kick back and play with a group of friends as you just chat and have some fun. As I feel this game will vary greatly as to how long you play it for, and how long it can retain your attention, and that of your friends as well. But this kind of spin-off of the single-player only Hello Neighbor game sees 6 people take part in entering this house to find a bunch of keys in order to unlock the basement to rescue one of your friends. So out of the 6 players, 1 is designated as the neighbor, so you appear normal to every other player, but you can change your appearance to capture the other players as you use gadgets to trap them, and it's up to the other players as well to try and figure out which player is playing the neighbor. Maybe their behavior just doesn't seem right. At number 10, it's Slime Rancher, and this game has been around for years, but now it makes its way to Game Pass for the PC. Plus it's already on the Xbox, and this sees you set up your own ranch on another planet as you explore and go about raising different types of slimes in this first-person open world. And the longevity of this game will depend on how much you like the gameplay loop of really feeding these little guys and breeding them so they can produce what are called plorts, and then you can sell them off in order to earn the game's currency. And this can then be used in order to upgrade your equipment and your ranch, and much of the depth comes about by raising the different types of slimes that are available and what happens when you feed a plort from one slime to that of another from a different species, and seeing what benefits you get from doing that, or seeing what happens if you combine more than one plort with several different species. For number 9 is the catch, carp, and coarse fishing, and for those who have no interest in getting up early in the morning and braving the elements in order to catch any sort of marine animals, then maybe this game will give you a taste of what it's like, and of course, now it's on Game Pass, it makes it much easier to try out. So you make your way across a handful of different locations as you try and catch the dozens of different varieties of fish, each with different behaviors, ensuring that you'll need to employ different means in order to lure them in. And that could be different by using different equipment based on the type of fish you're trying to catch, or whether you're fishing from the banks of a river or from your boat in deeper water, and how the water can change your position due to its movement. And there's also a bunch of legendary fish to catch as well, over 100, so there should be enough here for any enthusiasts out there who love the sport. And at number 8, we have SPELLFORCE 3 Soul Harvest, and this is the first game of 2 where I hope to see more PC releases make their way over onto the consoles, so those who primarily game on their Xbox get access to these titles, and hopefully Game Pass for Xbox and PC gets closer and closer when it comes to what they each offer. And so this is a standalone expansion to SPELLFORCE 3, so you don't need the base game in order to play it. But here you can customize your character as you set out on a brand new single player campaign. And there are a number of changes in Soul Harvest when compared to the base game, such as how the UI is laid out and what information is displayed where. Plus there are 2 new races in the form of Dark Elves and Dwarves, which you can kind of often expect when it comes to RPGs and real-time strategy games that mix in fantasy. And of course you can improve your skills and abilities as you play. Hopefully we see this on consoles at some point, and that real-time strategy makes a bit of a resurgence, if you can call it that, on consoles. For number 7, it's SOLASTA Crown of the Magister, the other game that hopefully makes its way over onto the Xbox consoles. But this PC early access game is coming to Game Pass with its full release, so if you're a fan of tabletop gaming and are knowledgeable in the rule sets of Dungeons & Dragons, then you may want to check out this turn-based tactical RPG. So with the full game comes the full campaign, plus the addition of side quests, plus also background quests, which flesh out the characters that you've created, and the inclusion of difficulty settings and options also comes with the full release game. Plus gamers also get the dungeon creator in order to create your own maps, You'll be able to level up your characters as well, which will give you the ability to use more advanced items and spells. SOLASTA is one of those games that is more niche than many others, but it has depth for those who really get stuck into these types of games. Plus it just adds to the diversity that is already present on Game Pass. Then for number 6, it's CONAN Exiles, and this one does look a bit dated as it has been around for a number of years now. And even though the game has Conan in the title, you aren't actually playing as that character at all, and instead you'll be creating your own character from scratch with the usual options most games have, with character creators, and then you're let loose in the Conan universe. Now, although there is action and you can obviously tell it's played from the third person view, Conan is all about surviving, so if you've played something like Ark Survival Evolved, then you'll know what to expect here. And I'd say that CONAN Exiles is probably a little more forgiving in terms of its encounters and moving about the map, especially in the first number of hours where these games can be quite difficult and where you will die a lot most probably. And this might be off-putting to some gamers, but if you're into collecting huge amounts of resources and slowly becoming stronger, then give this one a go. For number 5, it's SNOWRUNNER, and this game is equal parts needing you to really concentrate on what's going on, but at the same time, not always needing that either. So this is a good game to sometimes listen to music or a podcast to. This isn't action-packed and it sees you driving trucks around, hauling cargo around quite large maps, or recovering vehicles for example, as you try and plan and navigate your way through the environment. And depending on what type of vehicle you're driving, the size and weight of it, plus what you're transporting, this will have a large impact on not only which way you go about getting to your destination, but how you actually drive so you don't tip over or get bogged. Navigating through bodies of water, mud, snow, uneven terrain and mountains, all of this is there to present a challenge, and that's what it will give you numerous times. If you're looking to complete everything here, then this will keep you busy for dozens of hours. And at number 4 is The Wild at Heart, one of those smaller indie titles that passes many people by, but shows that there really are so many talented indie devs out there, and Game Pass is perfect to get their game noticed. And I don't think this will blow anyone away or anything, but once again, shows the diversity on the service. So this adventure is centered around 2 friends as you travel and explore this magical land, complete with some unusual creatures, kind of like a fairy tale really, but you'll also be collecting loot, slaying enemies and crafting items as well. If you're a big fan of how games used to be in 2D, and you like this sort of art style, the more cartoony look, then this could be for you. Probably not one you've been hanging to play, but maybe try it out. For number 3, it's MechWarrior 5, and this is a long-running series, plus it also received the excellent Mech Assault spin-off back on the OG Xbox. But MechWarrior 5 isn't as user-friendly as that console game was, and this is the first single-player game in the series for quite a number of years. So of course players are put in charge of these large, piloted mechs as they go about taking out other mechs or structures for example, as they play through the game. But I guess some of the charm with this series for many players is using the different types of mechs, and there are dozens to check out, each with their own stats. Some may be large and slower, or smaller and more nimble. Some may be able to take more of a beating, whilst others can move quicker. Then there are the different weapons available to players, and to try all of these out on the different mechs. This is another quite unique game for Game Pass, and new MechWarrior games don't come out too often, especially on console. At number 2, it's Knockout City, and when it comes to games that are perfect for Game Pass, then this really is exactly that, as not many people would fork out full price for this game, or even half of that, especially for something that I would say most gamers don't know how long they would stick with it, and how long it would grab their attention. But on Game Pass, that barrier comes down, and the amount of people actually playing the game goes up. So this is basically dodgeball, where 2 teams go head to head as you try and knock out the enemy players. But to spice things up, there are different types of balls in play, such as one that lets you jump higher for example, or one that explodes on impact. You can also catch the ball if you're quick enough, plus can also lock onto enemies as well. This is one of those games that if you can grab a group of friends to play with, then the hours might go by pretty quickly. And for number 1, it's the not to be taken seriously MANEATER, and this one has been Series X and S enhanced if you're playing on those consoles. And this sees you playing as a shark as you try and hunt down the person who killed your mother. You'll roam around this quite beautiful underwater environment as you consume other fish, and also explore the various caves so you can become bigger and stronger and unlock new abilities in order to take on larger enemies. You can slam into them head on or ravage them with your teeth, and that goes for the human enemies and NPCs as well, and the other marine life, or spin around and hit them with your tail. There's a lot of fun to be had here, and this I see as one game that many wouldn't buy at full price, but now is a great time to check it out if you missed it. So there's the games that have hit Game Pass recently, but let's see which games you may have missed. Starting with Dragon Quest Builders, a spin-off of the hugely popular Dragon Quest RPG series. But many people also really love this game too, and if you have the time to plow in dozens and dozens of hours, then you may enjoy the hell out of it. Then we have Outlast 2, the sequel to an early Xbox One and PS4 game, and this is your more typical survival horror game with minimal action, as your character is quite weak, and this is on purpose, plus it also has that found footage vibe we see in movies as well. And you'll be moving around dark environments and hiding from enemies instead of really taking them on. Then there's Final Fantasy X and X-2 for those JRPG fans out there. These are remastered from the original PS2 games, so if you missed these and want even more Final Fantasy, then check these out. For those wanting some sport action, there is Steep, and this runs beautifully now if you're playing on the Series X, and of course this is a no-brainer for anyone into skiing and snowboarding, but there's also other things to do here as well, like using the wingsuit. Very good and an often overlooked game. Then if you want to try and blow everything up in sight and be able to move around a gigantic environment, unlike most other games, then Just Cause 4 is here for you to scratch that over-the-top action itch you may have. It isn't very deep and doesn't stray too far from previous games, and it could really use a frames per second boost, but you might want to play this as well. And lastly, it's Psychonauts, another original Xbox game, and it shows how great backwards compatibility is on the Xbox these days. If you're after a strange and colourful platformer or are hanging to play the sequel, which could be out this year, then this has also been added to Game Pass. So there are a ton of new games recently released onto Game Pass, but which ones will you be playing, or which ones have you bought? Please let me know down below in the comments, give the video a thumbs up, share it around and subscribe. All these things greatly help the video and channel get pushed out. Hit the bell notification and check the link in the description to join up to the Discord to talk everything Xbox and gaming, and I'll see you on the next video.